Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The City of Belleville acknowledges we are meeting today on the traditional territories of many nations. We recognize and honor the historic relationship of Indigenous peoples to this land and acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We recognize all Indigenous peoples, including First Nation, Métis, and Inuit, who call Belleville their home and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship with them. We look forward to fostering a path towards reconciliation and show respect for Indigenous peoples who first live and currently live on this land where we all now reside together. Please remain standing for a moment of reflection.
May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. Help us to be concerned only for what will promote good government. May we bring to our council chambers minds that think and hearts that feel, always having respect for others, so that we may serve the people of our city in a helpful manner and for the good of all.
Please be seated. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have an indirect conflict on item 6.1. I'm a member of on the Board of Directors for Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I have a indirect again on 8.8B1. I sit on the Board of Directors of the Enrichment Center, and they're getting some money through the grant committee. And I've submitted the paper already.
Okay, thank you for that. Seeing none, nobody else? Oh, Councillor Wright-Miller.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have the same problem as Councillor Thompson. I sit on that committee as well, and I have not yet submitted my paperwork.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none. I need approval of minutes for the meeting held on June 8th, 26, and the special council meeting held on June 15th, 26. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Chatton. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Deputations. Hazzem Koudsi, CEO of Habitat for Humanity, Belleville, Prince Edward Hastings. Here is for Habitat deputation presentation. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's, I think, my third or fourth time, and it never disappoints. Hopefully, I don't disappoint council, members of staff, the community at large. We do have some interesting update with respect to the project at 93 Dundas, the former police station. Some of the info is just going to be a quick reminder, kind of an appetizer before we get into the main course, which is near the end. As we know, we have 17,000 homes that are going to be required by 2051, based on the Watson report that was commissioned, I believe, a year or so ago. Some of the reasons why we're doing this, I won't read them, you can read, but the ones that stick out for me are that over 70% of families say that their mental health and their physical well-being is improved by home ownership that's affordable. And the one that really strikes me is the 50% of families say their children do better in school because they have that stability and that need or not having to transition and move from home to home on a regular basis. So this is, I'm just going to go back. Oh yeah, that is it. Okay. So this is the rendering of the building that is envisioned for 93 Dundas. It's a 5-story, 66-unit condominium building with a mixture of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. What we envision with it is potentially the daycare. We'd like to work with the Children's Safety Village on their timelines and convert that space into the daycare. And the storage space that it currently exists where they store their garage or their cars in those garages is going to be converted into an activity or a community center for the owners of these condo units. So it's entry-level ownership. It's about equity building. It's to give families an opportunity to break their cycle of poverty by renting continually. As we know, rent is typically higher than a mortgage, which takes money out of the pockets of those families and also then out of the pockets of local businesses and the community at large. It's equity protection for Habitat that they will not be able to flip these homes for the first 15 years. Which is typically near the end of their mortgage cycle anyways. RBC will hold the first mortgage, or as we like to say, the principal amount of 80%, which will give us a chance to multiply the impact that we provide. Typically, we build 1 or 2 homes a year, but for us to build 66, we just can't carry that level of financing. So they will pay a mortgage. These aren't free homes. They will pay a mortgage to RBC for the first 20 years. And then the down payment portion is ours at the 20 to 40 year mark. Rising home prices means that we can no longer be a 100% partner, as I just mentioned. If we want to really make an impact and deal with the housing crisis, we need to find partners that are going to help us. And that was RBC. They stepped up first, and they created a great agreement with us, and we're piloting that on a project that we have in Trenton with 4 homes, and then in Marlborough with 2 homes to see how our partnership will work out. We hold the second mortgage, and then it's payable after the first mortgage is paid out. It removes the need for a down payment, and that's what makes it enticing and affordable for these families that want to get out of a cycle of debt. So it's been a busy year. This is where the presentation is not so much as a summary as now it's what's been happening. It's been busy since we signed our purchase and sale agreement in the late summer of last year. Since then, we established our 11-member construction cabinet committee, which consists of 3 core board members and 8 strong community leaders charged with raising the funds that we need to develop that 20% back-end down payment. We celebrated the history of the building in September last year as we commenced the demolition. We kicked off the fundraising campaign at the same time with that ceremony. We had some fun when we did that. I don't know if anyone was there to see the exploding garage door open and then some prisoners that were still inside escape, but they were quickly reapprehended. So that was fun, and just to put some lightheartedness into it. We continue our strong fundraising efforts. We've passed the 50% mark of our $8.3 million target that we had initially set. Included in this total is the new property assessment, given the dilapidated building is no longer there. And once we receive a clean record of site condition, that the building is going to be worth what the estimator or certified appraiser has said it would be worth. We're still gathering some groundwater data to get that record of site condition. Environment Canada needs a clean and second phase assessment before they issue a record of site condition. So they had to drill some extra boreholes, and we're waiting for the results on that before we can get that clean record of site condition. We're continuing with fundraising. We're working with Habitat Canada, and they are in active discussions with Build Canada Homes, the recent agency that works alongside CMHC, and I guess they might even supersede CMHC, but that was announced back in October. They're supposed to receive legislative authority in July to start allocating some funds. Their portal for applications is open. However, we are working with a portfolio approach through Habitat Canada, where all of the affiliates across Canada are submitting applications through Habitat Canada based on negotiations with Build Canada Homes. So Habitat Canada, recognizing that our project of 66 units needs to proceed urgently, is meeting with them this week to try and get some advanced funding and other funding that might be able to be utilized to support our construction. We are actively working with Habitat Canada to put the project at the top of the request for priority funding of between $3 and $4 million, which is the other half of that fundraising target that we have. And there's also, in the area of fundraising, continued discussions to create long-term funding and financing with the participation of Build Canada Homes, Habitat for Humanity, and other partners so that we can start the project in 27-28 fiscal. As outlined in our agreement of purchase and sale, we do have the option of selling some of the units on the open market to generate the capital that might be needed. But that's a last resort, because we truly want to have the maximum impact that we can have with the community by selling or by allocating all 66 units and not reducing that by 10 units to generate the capital that we need. So it's not the desired path, but we'll do it if we have to. And I will add that we are continuing to work with the provincial level of government, MPP Allsop, and provincial partners, Minister Flack, he's the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And we've had discussions with both parties, and we're trying to get Minister Flack out here for a tour during the summer to take a look at that land. On the construction front, we are issuing an RFQ, likely tomorrow, and that RFQ is so that proponents can bid on the project. This allows us to obtain a quote that is a little more tight than the one that we had issued back post-COVID. We had a quote of $33 million. It was validated by a company out of Toronto, Ellis Don, and they said, yeah, that's the right amount, and that was what landed us at the $8.3 million fundraising target. Once we get the RFQ issued, that will give us that tighter amount of money that we feel we need to see, which will then result in likely a less price sticker on the construction costs, and also then reduce the amount that we need to fundraise. It also would be required for us to get those site plans, the floor plans, because you have to have those in place before you can issue a condo corp charter, and that is required if we're going to sell some of the units. You have to have the exact layout of the building, which units are specifically being sold, and some sense of what the condo corporation is going to look like. So that we expect the RFQ process to be done in August, and then that allows us to take those next steps leading into the winter and spring, where we can hopefully break some ground. It's an aggressive schedule to try and break ground by spring, and then have a occupancy by June of 2028 or summer of 2028. But within the Build Canada Homes funding principles, modern methods of construction are what they're looking for, and that tends to be modular. And modular not necessarily being cheaper, but it is faster. So we can take a look at what RFQ comes forward and decide price versus cost, value versus timelines. And I will close with, in addition to it being an aggressive schedule, that this room was very generous in its allocation of that property to Habitat for Humanity for the purposes of helping this community with its housing crisis. And if we could have our provincial and federal partners step up at the same level that the city of Belleville did, we'd have shovels in the ground very quickly, and this is how you tackle a housing crisis together across all three levels. So thank you.
Any questions for the deputation? Councillor Carr.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you. Thank you for your presentation. Just one quick question. When does Habitat for Humanity believe that you'll be able to assume title on the property?
According, sorry, Councillor, through His Worship, according to the purchase and sale agreement, we have 6 months post receiving the record of site condition. When we started the environmental assessment of the site, we really didn't expect to find anything because it was a church, and then the police station, there was a oil water tank separator in underneath where the garage was, and we knew that might have been an area of concern. But we aren't able to get a sufficient groundwater assessment, and so we had to dig some extra holes and deeper to find groundwater, and that's what's taking some time. And the Environment Canada needs a good sample of groundwater before they will issue the record of site condition. So we're delayed with that process, but the purchase and sale agreement, to quickly answer your question, it says 6 months post record of site condition being issued by Environment Canada.
Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, through you, and thank you, Hazzem. This is an exciting project. Glad to see it coming. I have a few questions. Some of you may not be able to answer yet, maybe a little premature. So your partnership with the RBC Bank, now have they promised any, I guess I would, rate. Will the rates be sort of average rates? Are there preferred rates? Have they given you any idea?
So yeah, there's zero down, so there's no worry about that. But the interest rate that they have put in writing would be competitive and below their market rate. Now, what's below? Is that, 0.5%, 0.05 or a half a point or a full point? We expect it to be somewhere between, 0.1 and a half percent off of market rate because they're getting an opportunity to have all those mortgages.
Okay, and if I could just further to that. So when you say market rate, and maybe it's funny how banks actually speak of rates, would that be a posted rate or the reduced rate? Because I know banks do have a posted rate, and unless you ask for the better rate, you tend not to get it.
Yeah, well, it's the market rate.
Okay.
The market rate at that time, based on whatever formula they use to set the market rate. It's usually T-bills, plus a point or something like that. But it's really up to them, and we haven't necessarily committed 100% to RBC. If there is a bank that wants to come forward and partner with us, both on the construction financing side of it, with the takeout loans on the mortgage end, we'd be willing to talk to them as well.
Okay, just a few more questions if I could. Thank you. Do you know, will there be any special circumstances for qualifying for these particular buyers, or will it be the same qualification process that a regular person like myself might enter?
So last we looked, we did check with Hastings Housing, Hastings County Social Housing. There are over 4,000 families on a waiting list for affordable home housing. And we know that our mortgages typically are less than the rent that people are going to be paying. So we know that there's enough demand. And then on the supply side, we know that we've got those houses available. It's going to be the same policy. Our policy binder is our policy binder. We can't change that without changing our bylaws and changing that in a vote through our board of directors. So it's 30%. You have to be able to carry the mortgage. 30% of your gross income to taxes and condo fees. So that's the core requirement. And then the other requirement is willing to partner with us, which is the 500 hours of volunteer work as in lieu of the down payment. And then the third part is that they continue to provide us with the information on an annual basis to ensure that they are gainfully employed, making the revenue that they need to sustain that 30% gross income to the mortgage. So nothing changes.
Okay, just one final question, and you may not have the answer to this yet. Do you have a targeted price range per unit that you're hoping to achieve? I know it's difficult because you haven't had it built yet, so you can't maybe establish how much per unit you need to get out of this building. So I just wondered if you had a target that you were hoping to achieve.
That's a good question, and it's one that is going to have to take the time through the RFQ. So we have to see what the cost per square foot's going to be. Then we can go out and see what the market has as availability, comparability. There aren't a lot of condos in the area, in this specific immediate area. So we need that time for the market to settle, to see what the market rate is. We need to see the RFQ. And then once you see what the cost per square foot is, you can determine what the selling point should be. But we're not like a private developer. We're not here to make a 20 or 30% margin on the cost of construction. We are building this at as low value cost wise as we can with quality inputs and materials, but we're not passing on any margin to the home buyers. So we have to sell that house at fair market value. That is the CRA's regulation. So there's a combination of we will try and get that house value as low as we can in conjunction with trying to build it as economically as we can. But we have to go by the fair market value, and I think over the course of the next year, we'll see those fair market values continue to correct a little bit. Now, these DC reductions is a whole new ballgame, but we'll see what happens to supply and demand when houses start building again.
Thank you.
Councillor Kelly?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you, sir, for the presentation. Glad to see the project coming along nicely. Excited to see it finished. So 66 condo units.
You've got a captive audience here today, and we're all ears. How does one or a family apply to make sure that they're in the running for one of 66?
So, thank you, Councillor Kelly, through his worship. The baseline of how we do this is advertising. So we've got a sign up at the site right now that has a QR code on it, and it directs members of the community that might be interested to go to the website and see what the requirements are for applying. So that's the first place, is driving by it, the site to begin with. And there's going to be, as we start building, we're going to put bigger signs up. The second is mass advertising. When we are ready to accept applications, we'll go social media, we'll go press wherever we can get press. I know that there's less and less print media these days, but social media will be another avenue. Radio advertisements will be the other avenue. It's we'll use every tool that we can to promote, and then it's obviously word of mouth. Once one person starts talking about it, everybody starts talking about it. But what the deciding factor is in terms of applying is your income level has to be sufficient to withstand a 30% of your gross going to a mortgage and the condo fees. And people seem to think that, well, we're giving these homes away. You have to pay a mortgage for the duration of the term of the mortgage repayment period. That's the first thing. How we then decide, if we've got 4,000 applicants, we do what's called a needs assessment. And we determine if you've got a family that's living in a basement and the basement's leaking and it's got mold in the corners, and the kids are in an area that might not be the safest place for them, right? There's a variety of elements that we look at very objectively, and we score the families on that basis if everybody has enough money. Now, just because you make $200,000 a year, and you can definitely make that 30% of your gross income is going to cover your mortgage and your condo fees and taxes, that's not going to be acceptable either. There's a sweet spot of the families we're trying to help, and typically it's in an income range of around $65,000 to $90,000, because those are the ones that just don't have the chance to save for the down payment, but they're working hard, and that's just the cycle that they're in. I call it rent purgatory. So they're paying a landlord, they're doing great, but they're not getting a chance to save to get their own equity. So those are the families we're trying to help. So we're not going to allocate to people making $200,000. We're not going to allocate to people that are, unfortunately not working yet or having, financial struggles. There's other tools to help with those families in those situations. Ours is 66 families. There's 4,000 families that we know that we can help.
Thank you.
Councillor Chatton?
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation. It's always great to hear from you because you always bring us some really positive, good news about what's up and coming for helping our housing landscape across Belleville. I was wondering, the 500 hours that you spoke about, is that something that both of if it's a single parent applicant, it would only be allocated to that person, or is it something that they can split within their family if they have teenage kids? Is there a timeline for them being able to fulfill that 500-hour community service part of the agreement? Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yep. Through His Worship, the hours are a function of when we have the completion of the home and its availability. The hours need to be completed before occupancy, because history has showed us that once families move in, the odds of them getting the rest of those hours in, and it becomes a harder struggle. They're very motivated before they move in. Once they're in, they're like, okay, this is our home now. They can't kick us out. We'll get our hours done when we get them done. So we generally have that rule of thumb. So to Councillor Kelly's question, in terms of when we do the announcement for application periods being open, is what we feel is sufficient time to allow 500 hours to be completed prior to the completion of the construction project. So we expect about a year of time from when we start the application window to when they have to finish their hours. So that was the first part of your question, I think. And then you had another part of...
No, not just how it was divided in the family, whether it was
Oh.
just the applicants, and if there was a, if there's a mom and a dad, or a mom and a mom, or a dad and a dad, like, are they
Yeah.
able to 250 and 250, or is this something that, like, the whole family can do together if they have children?
The hours are, it's 500 hours for a family, a traditional family, so, parents and then kids that might be able to be of age to volunteer. Otherwise, if it's a single parent, we would reduce the hours to 250. Because
That's
it's just
wonderful.
too
That
hard.
was kind of where I was going. I really was
Yeah,
hoping that it
thanks.
wouldn't be something that would be a barrier for somebody who was a single parent trying to get into the housing market.
I was thinking about income levels. The income level, by the way, of 60 to 95,000 isn't just the one parent's income.
Yeah.
It's the household income. So anybody over the age of 19 who is capable and eligible for employment is expected to contribute to that mortgage.
Understood.
So it's 60 to 95 for the household income, not the individual.
Excellent. And just one more follow-up question, and this had to do with the mortgage. I wondered if there's anything that precludes the Habitat for Humanity organization from going through either a brokerage or like using credit unions instead of some of the bigger banks, because typically they tend to have a bit better rates to deal with. And I just wondered if, because it's a membership, is that something that Habitat is able to do?
We did solicit interest from credit unions without success.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for your report.
Councillor Wright Miller?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Hazzem. Just a wonderful presentation, and congratulations at going past the 50% mark. That's fabulous. And I love this model because it creates home ownership and gets people out of the rental wheel, and then it opens up more rentals for people coming in. So my question is, just having a background in condominiums, is this going to be a full-fledged condo, or only if you have to sell off 10 units? Or are you starting with a condo right off the top?
Starting with a condo.
Okay.
Because 66 units and 5 floors, the expectation of everybody pitching in to keep the common areas clean or maintained. If you've got a roof issue, who's going to end up repairing that roof on a chillers on the roof, and it just gets too complicated. So we felt that a condominium style setup would be more appropriate.
I think that's fabulous. And can the people that are beneficial to own these units, can they partake in some of the maintenance under the condo umbrella? Is that sort of the idea as part of their time that they're giving back to Habitat?
Those would be done, I think, before they take occupancy.
Before occupancy,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And have you forecasted out condo budgets, and are
No.
you Terry-on warranty? Do you have Terry-on and phase performance audits, all that you have to? Well,
Yes, we are Terry-on certified, but we have not started the condo budgeting process at this time. We need to see, what the layout looks like, what the materials, are there carpets, are there floors, what, mix of those. There's a lot of variables that go into setting that budget. So, yeah, we need to see the mechanical, HVAC and what we expect for life from that. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. After you start seeing the inputs, we'll start looking at the projections.
Wonderful. Happy to help anytime I can.
Well, thank you.
Thank
I'll take you up on
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you. What a great report. Good luck. Heavy lifting, and you can get it done.
Thank you so much.
Motion to receive, moved by Councillor Kelly, Councillor Chatton, all in favor, carried. Next, we have City of Belleville Consolidated 2025 financial statements presented by KPMG, and we have Caitlin Scott here, I believe. Good afternoon, Caitlin.
Perfect. Good afternoon. So I'm Caitlin Scott. I'm the senior manager with KPMG that was responsible for the audit for the 2025 year end, working alongside Lori Huber, the engagement partner. We did present the results of our audit previously to the Finance Committee about 2 weeks ago in a significant amount of detail, so I am only going to speak to the key points and a few of the highlights. As of today's date, I am happy to report that we are complete the audit, pending our discussions here today, as well as receiving the ultimate approval of the financial statements. As always, the audit process went extremely well this year. We received the full cooperation of management, and we were able to execute our audit as we had planned. We did not identify any contentious matters or significant findings that we have to bring to your attention today. As we execute the audit, we do remain alert for any deficiencies in internal controls over financial reporting. And although we do not opine on the internal controls in the financial statements, we are required to communicate any significant deficiencies if there are any. We are happy to report we did not identify any significant deficiencies which we communicated to management, the finance committee, or that we have to bring to your attention today. In terms of the financial reporting, after, I would say, 2 fairly significant years of accounting changes, there actually were no changes to the accounting policies or practices this year. Ultimately, what that means is the financial statements that are in your package today are consistent with what you would have seen in previous years in terms of those policies and practices. We are confident that the financial statements do comply with the financial reporting framework, being Canadian public sector accounting standards. We have proposed in our draft auditor's report that's included in the financial statements a clean or unqualified audit opinion, which as a member of council, that's what you're looking to see in your auditor's report. The final item I will speak to is independence. As your external auditors, it is extremely important that we do remain independent of the city, both in fact and in appearance. I'm happy to confirm that we do continue to remain independent of this city in accordance with professional standards. That's a fairly quick summary or snapshot of our audit, recognizing we did go through a lot of detail previously, but I'd welcome any questions at this time if there are any.
Questions? Councillor Wright Miller?
Thank you, Your Worship. Hi, Caitlin. I don't have any questions, but I do have some comments, if I might. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd like to extend a sincere thank you and appreciation to both Caitlin and Laurie Huberts and the KPMG audit team for their thorough and professional completion of the 2025 audit. The committee recognizes the high standard of work demonstrated throughout the audit process, as well as the collaborative approach taken with our internal finance department. We especially wish to acknowledge the exceptional leadership and expertise of Brandon Ferguson and Brianna McNevin, whose diligence, transparency, responsiveness continue to strengthen the integrity of our finance, reporting, and processes. And in particularly, it's noteworthy that KPM had identified our internal finance team as a benchmark for other municipalities. This recognition is a significant endorsement of our systems, control, and professionalism embedded within our organization, and it reflects the consistent commitment of our staff to best practices in municipal financial management. We are proud of the strong working relationship between KPMG and the Finance Department, and we value the insights and assurance provided throughout the audit process. The committee considers this partnership an important element in maintaining public trust and ensuring continued financial accountability and excellence. Once again, we thank you, Caitlin and Laurie, and the KPMG team for their work and look forward to continued collaboration in future audit cycles. So thank you very much for your report.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Wright Miller. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have correspondence from Connor Dorey, CAO County of Hastings, POA Follow-Up. Response to resolution number BC 260427 from April 27, 26 meeting regarding bylaw 2026-058, referred to item 9.1, County of Hastings Intermunicipal Service Agreement, POA Follow-Up. Recommendation that correspondence from Connor Dorey, CAO of County of Hastings, dated June 3rd, 26, regarding POA Follow-Up and be received. Moved by Councillor Chatton, Councillor Thompson. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Next, we have closed meeting investigator report for complaint in CMI 2026-01, read March 23rd, 26 council declaration of surplus land, CMI report complaint in CMI 2026-01. Recommendation that the closed meeting investigator report for complaint in CMI 2026-01, March 23rd, 26, council declaration of surplus land, and I just, bear with me, I'm going to change the motion here from staff, and if I can get a mover and a seconder, we will implement this one. Information that would recommend that the closed meeting investigator for complaint CMI 2026-01 recommendations be implemented as outlined in section 21A and B of the closed meeting investigator, and that the procedural bylaw to reflect these changes, and said changes be take effect at our next council meeting. Moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Henderson. Discussion. Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, through you. I just want to take a moment to say I appreciate the recommendations of the closed meeting investigator. I also look forward to seeing those revisions to the policy that deals with acquisition and disposition of city property. I think with the changes to that policy, along with the changes to our procedural bylaw that are coming at our next meeting, and I've had some assurances from the manager of Realty and Property Services, Diane McFarland, the Director of Corporate Services and People, Marie Doherty, and CRO Matt McDonald, and I feel confident that we will be resolving this and we shouldn't see this happen again. That's all I really wanted to say regarding this report, okay?
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Seeing none, thank you. I need a motion to, who's all in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have Committee of the Whole, Council Rise and Go Committee of the Whole at 4:35 p.m. to hear and consider reports, passing recommendations and resolutions with Councillor Chatton in the chair. Moved by Councillor Enright Miller, Councillor Thompson, all in favor, carried.
Okay, starting out with 8A reports. The very first one, 8A1, recommendation reads that as outlined in the Director of Finance Treasurer Report DF 2026-12, City of Belleville 2025 Consolidated Financial Statements, and recommended by the Finance Committee, Council approve the year-end closing operating and capital transfers to and from reserve funds, and that the City of Belleville's audited 2025 Consolidated Financial Statements be approved. Could I get a mover? Thank you. Councillor Enright Miller, and a seconder, Councillor Kelly. Is there any discussion on this? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A2, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Director, Transportation and Operations Services, report number DTOS-2026-07, the 2026 capital budget item 1.019, Great St. James stair replacement, be amended to $158,000, with the increase to be funded by a donation in the amount of $3,000 and the Asset Management Reserve Fund in the amount of $5,000. And that's okay. And that the request for tender submission from 809592 Ontario Inc., Parkside Lands, what is OA? Operating as, thank you, Parkside Landscaping and Contracting, be accepted for TOS 2026-19 Great St. James stair replacement in the amount of $147,750 plus $19,207.50 HST for a total of $166,957.50. This being the lowest tender received, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the City of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Enright Miller. Any questions? Any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Mayor?
Just one quick question. I see there was a couple donations. One was quite a bit. Were they anonymous, I take it, donations, or?
Through the chair, they didn't specifically state they want to be anonymous, but...
I'd like to thank them tonight in council then, whoever they are. Thanks, and keep the money rolling.
Okay, thank you.
So as echoed by the mayor, thank you for the donation, and all in favor, that is carried. 8A3, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Director of Transportation and Operations Report, DTOS-2026-08, disposal of Quinte Waste Solutions property be received, and that a bylaw to approve and authorize the execution of the sale of 270 West Street, Quinte West, be prepared for council's consideration. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Sue. Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
It's wonderful to see this coming to a finalization. I sat on that committee for a number of years, and we dissolved the committee about a year and a half ago, the street. And this building's been up for sale. We've had three offers. Unfortunately, they fell through. So to have this coming forward and realizing that this bid that we got is pretty well close to the original bid that we had from the first purchaser. So it's a good thing, you know, and we get back $655,000 that they've had, and it's just a great transition, and thank goodness somebody's bought it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A4, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the project manager's report, ESPM-2026-02, and in accordance with the section 30.3 sole and single sourcing approval and reporting. Thank you. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Mayor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Enright Miller. Questions? Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A5, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Manager of Realty and Property Services Report Number MRPS-2026-06, a bylaw to approve and authorize an encroachment agreement pertaining to 101 Bell Boulevard between the Corporation of the City of Belleville and Canadian Tire Corporation Limited be prepared for Council's consideration. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Enright Miller, seconded by Councillor Henderson. And any questions, concerns? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A6, the recommendation reads that pursuant to Report ENG 2026-08, Northeast Industrial Park Expansion, North-South Collector Road alignment, the design alignment of the new north-south Collector Road be moved east within the Phase 1 limits to provide more flexibility for the creation of various sized industrial lots. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Mayor Ellis, and seconded by Councillor Brown. Any questions? Mayor Ellis?
I don't really have a question. I just want a statement. Looking at our North Industrial Park expansion and the next item, capital budget amendment, I just want to congratulate staff and council because these are two of the biggest, or are the two biggest infrastructure projects ever undertaken in the city of Belleville. So commencing a lot of time to take. It's been 3 to 4 years of staff working on this for design. Tenders have gone out. Unfortunately, one of the tenders is not to our liking, but we have to think 10 years out. And I commend this council for thinking not in the 4-year span, but thinking about industrial land. Right now, we have, I believe, 6 acres of industrial land left, if that hasn't been sold, or 7 acres. And with the Loyalist Secondary Plan expansion for about 10,000 homes, or 10,000 people. So congratulations. Hopefully we can get through this. And just saying that I know it's a big price tag, but it's growth, growth, and growth.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A7, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Deputy Director / Manager of Engineering Report, ENG 2026-09, Capital Budget Amendment, Contract ENG 2026-04, T-06-26, Avonlow Sewage Pumping Station, Contract 1, the request for tender submission from Peak Construction Group Limited be accepted for contract ENG 2026-04, Avonlow Sewage Pumping Station in the amount of $38,192,900 plus $4,965,077 HST for a total dollar amount of $43,157,977, this being the lowest cost tender received, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the Corporation of the City of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal. And that the 2026 capital budget be amended for Avonlow Sewage Pumping Station Capital Budget Issue 24-1.001 for additional funding in the amount of $30 million for a total budget of $85 million to be funded as outlined in the report. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Thompson moved and Councillor Enright Miller seconded. Questions, comments? Councillor Carr, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few questions. In the report, it indicates that project costs had increased, and one of the variables for that increase was schedule extension. I was wondering if staff could provide us with the original schedule, the actual schedule, and just kind of some details as to what led to the delay.
Director Ashton, could I ask for you to answer that one? Thank you.
Deputy Director O'Leary is here, so she'll answer that question.
Thank you.
Yep, through the chair. Yeah, so our original schedule, our detailed design started in August 22, but just to paint the picture of this, we've started to call it a generational infrastructure project. The planning and concepts for the Avonlow Sewage Pumping Station started in regional planning studies in the 1960s and 1970s. We've done the municipal class environmental assessment more recently, the master plan in 2001 following amalgamation, and then we refined that master plan in 2010. The EA was completed in 2022, and then we started the detailed design. And that's what we've been undertaking for some time now. The design completion, tendering, and contract award was originally anticipated late 2024 for construction to begin early 2025. These large generational infrastructure projects take time, and they are complex. And some of the things that have extended the design completion was that long-term planning and complexity. In particular, hydraulic modeling was really honed in on, and we appreciate our colleagues in environmental services as well as engineering staff reviewed that extensively with the engineering design consultant. Also, the force main installation that is coming from the pumping station is crossing through an environmentally sensitive area. So we had to do multiple seasonal inventories. There's very specific timing windows throughout the year where you can do these environmental inventories to make sure that the appropriate environmental mitigation measures are incorporated into the contract there. So that's kind of a brief history of how we got to where we are now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got a couple more questions. Top of page 4, there's a note there with respect to the timing of future phases of the Avonlow Sewage Pumping Station and conveyance, and it's dependent on not only the rate of development in that area of the West Belleville Secondary Plan, but also the city's Northeast Industrial Park and other potential residential developments in the city's northern urban portion. I was just wondering through you if I could get the Deputy Director just to outline the impact of those areas on this particular project.
Yes, through the chair. This is going to the hydraulic modeling that I was speaking of. And so the Moira pressure sewer will serve as an interim outlet for the new Avonlow sanitary pumping station. And that delays the additional construction cost and avoids further extensive archaeological investigations and environmental approvals of crossing the Moira River with the Avonlow pumping station pressure sewer. As the flows from the new pumping station increase significantly over time, it will be necessary to extend the pressure sewer connection all the way through to the wastewater treatment plant. But at present, the Moira pressure sewer is operating below its full capacity, with available capacity intentionally reserved for the accommodation of future developments. Those future developments include the Northeast Industrial Park and residential development elsewhere in the city.
Thank you. My last question, Madam Chair, is with respect to page 8, the project funding and the proposed budget amendment, and the out of the $30 million increase, approximately $22.3 million is being allocated from development charges. And my question is, Are these already collected development charges, or will it be dependent on the rate of growth in order to collect funds to make up that 22 million?
Thank you.
$1 million in the Development Charge Reserve Fund overall, with over 26 million attributed to the wastewater service area. We will continue to see collections and utilizations on this project as time progresses, but we're comfortable with the funds available to be able to cash flow from that source.
That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Councillor Thompson?
On this Avonlow pumping station, the development that's going to go on out there, does it depend on this Avonlow sewage pumping station being active before the development starts out there?
Deputy Director O'Leary?
Through the chair.
O'Leary?
Through the chair. There's an attachment of the report, and this West Belleville secondary plan area is divided into 3 sanitary drainage areas. So we have the Dundas sanitary drainage area at the south, and that may be the Village of Avonlea subdivision that you're thinking of at the south end of Avonlow. Then we'll have the Avonlow pumping station will unlock the development potential from Avonlow pumping station all the way north to the hydro corridor that runs south of Bell Boulevard. And then we have the Bell Boulevard catchment area, which is already serviced by the Bell Boulevard sewer.
So the reason I'm asking that is there's a model home that was erected there. So are they going to start development shortly, or is that house built there for the future? And the reason I'm asking that is that I've had a couple of people that live on Avonlow and are not very happy.
Through the chair, the south end of Avonlow Road, that specific subdivision that you're thinking of, is already serviced through the Dundas sanitary catchment area. It's not waiting for the Avonlow sewage pumping station to be complete.
So have we had any direction from the developer when that might proceed?
Director Ashton?
Through the chair. So I did have the opportunity to contact and discuss the matter with the individual that's supervising the site. He informed me that they would be undertaking landscaping and getting their model home ready, that they would also be moving forward with pre-selling homes in the fall and some early site work, and then ideally starting construction in spring of next year. All of that depends on the market, so but that was their intention when I had that discussion with them.
I would like to at least note that that house should not have been put up until they were closer to development, because, you know, granted, the people across the road have some pretty extensive houses, and one of our councillors lives out there, used to. I just think it went up too early. It was going to go up anyways. I just want to at least note that this person that lives across has objected to it and has some reasonable reason why it shouldn't have gone up. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Councillor Henderson?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So I read in the report, let me just read the segment of the report here. I've lost it.
Which page are you?
I believe it's 2 of 14. The Avonlow Sanitary Pumping Station and Conveyance Project within the Potters Creek drainage area will ultimately service approximately 9,000 new residential units in the west end of the city of Belleville. So we talk about all the new residential units. I guess what I'm curious about is, how about Marshall Road, Avonlow, and the older subdivision to which Councillor Thompson is speaking of? Where do they fit within that, and do we have a timeline for them?
Deputy Director O'Leary, please.
Through the chair. So Avonlow Sewage Pumping Station is accommodating new growth, but it's also servicing Bridge Street West and Marshall, as well as allowing for decommissioning of 4 existing pumping stations that are reaching the end of their service life, and will be able to service those by gravity sewer back to the Avonlow pumping station. So we're building the pumping station on Avonlow, and we're going to pump flows to the east. That's our trunk sewer. And then we will need some local sewers that brings flows from Bridge Marshall area back west to the pumping station so it can be pumped east. So there is a drainage area map as an attachment there, and that is the long-term servicing plan for this area. So in summary, the Avonlow pumping station is the first step to servicing that west end of existing Bridge Street West.
Thank you. And just further to that, do we have any specific timelines that we could provide those residents of Marshall Road?
Through the chair, we are bringing a staff report back to council on the petition that was received from area residents requesting us to expedite the services in that area. So we will bring that report back, as well as we'll look at it under our 10-year capital planning exercise.
Anybody interested in the drainage maps? It can be found on page 11 of 14 in the package. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A8. Oops, sorry. 8A8, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Deputy Director / Manager of Engineering Report number ENG 2026-10, Capital Budget Amendment, Contract ENG 2026-08 T-16-26, Front Street Upper Bridge Rehabilitation. The request for tender submission from UrbanLink Civil Limited be accepted in part in the amount of $4,034,500 plus $524,485 HST for a total dollar amount of $4,558,985, this being the lowest cost tender received, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the City of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal, and that the 2026 capital budget be amended for Front Street Upper Bridge Rehabilitation, capital budget issue 18-1.013/25-1.011 for additional funding in the amount of $425,000 to be funded through the Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Thompson, seconded by Mayor Ellis. Any questions, comments? Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, thank you for the report. And in the report, it talks about closing it down for special events. And I spoke about this before, and I know it's a little bit far-fetched about putting gates, which is probably not appropriate for this project, but because we're going to use it for entertainment, anybody that's going to use it, are we going to have to still pay the $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 to close off that section like we do in Main Street? Because if we're going to use it for entertainment, it's certainly going to be an obstacle if we have to charge these people that, and it's staff's cost and equipment, but is there any talk about trying to ease that cost or have no cost for having entertainment and close it down?
If I could ask Deputy Director O'Leary for that, please.
Through the chair, yes, that question did come up during the report that presented the traffic impact study, and we do have staff looking at maybe some gate options. Obviously, gates can vary wildly in price depending on how the aesthetics of the gate and material. The current contract does not include that gate, but we can bring a report back to council for consideration under 2027 capital budget maybe of the financials of the road closure with temporary barricades versus a gate installation, and perhaps we could get some feedback from the downtown to see if there were if there's an appetite to have those types of events on the bridge itself.
That would, and it wouldn't always be the downtown, but there could be other people come in that attracts people to our downtown, but our city in general. And if we look at the gates as a cost, and I would be curious, and I'm interested to find the cost of the gates compared to having our city close them down. So look forward to that report, and I'm hoping that it can come in reasonable, that we can put gates in or something to close it off, because I think my first original was to close it off, period, and use it strictly for entertainment, but we've come to the conclusion we're going to use it for vehicle pedestrian, but I think we need to, it's a valuable asset, it's a great spot to have our entertainment. Other times we've used the Bridge Street over bridge, that closes that off, but by closing that bridge off, we still have the other bridge to come across. I think we're losing an opportunity if we don't look at the cost of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Are there any other questions or comments to this? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8A9, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Deputy Director, Manager of Engineering Report, ENG 2026-12, Capital Budget Amendment, Contract ENG 2026-10, T-17-26, Airport Parkway Culvert Replacement. The request for tender submission from Fidelity Engineering and Construction Incorporated be accepted in the amount of $1,257,000 plus $163,410 HST for a total dollar amount of $1,420,410, this being the lowest cost tender received, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the city of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal, and that the 2026 capital budget be amended for Airport Parkway Culvert Replacement Capital Budget Issue 25-1.013 for additional funding in the amount of $400,000 to be funded by the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, OCIF. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Carr. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you, that is carried. 8A10, the recommendation reads that pursuant to the Director of Information Technology Report Number IT 2026-01, Capital Budget Amendment Contract Number HR 2025-01, Supply and Implementation of a Human Resource Information System, HRIS, the request for a proposal submission from BDO Canada LLP be accepted in the revised amount of $1,423,423.95 plus $185,045.16 HST for a total dollar amount of $1,608,469.06. This being the highest ranked proposal, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the acceptance agreement on behalf of the corporation of the city of Belleville, and that the city clerk be authorized to affix the corporate seal, and that the 2026 capital budget be amended for Human Resource Information System, HRIS Capital Budget Issue 25-1.068 for additional funding in the amount of $54,000 to be funded, $30,000 from the Water Reserve Fund and $24,000 from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund. Could I get a mover and a seconder for this item? Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Kelly. Any questions? Councillor Carr and then Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two questions through you to the Director. First and foremost, in terms of the software platform, does other municipalities use it so we know it's stable and there's no issue with phasing over to this platform?
Through the chair to Councillor Carr. Dayforce is used currently by Quinte West. It was used until recently by Hastings County, and it's also used by the federal government. I don't know if that's a ringing endorsement, but they did use it to save. So Dayforce is a very robust. BDO is just the implementer. So it's a well-worn piece of software that works well in our environments.
As long as you didn't mention Phoenix, I think you're okay with the federal program. I might have more to say then. The second question I have is, and I see that the dollar total you've got, through you, Madam Chair, to the Director, 5-year total in terms of the operation, annual software licensing, and that the result of this is an annual tax impact, including external boards, estimated at approximately 0.13%. I think Council knows that these little increments have a tendency to add up when you get to budget time. In the report, it does note that we have a number of legacy systems that will obviously come offline. Those subscriptions we won't require. Is the intent then, and I see there's a reference to operational savings, is the hope then that some of that operational savings would then reduce the overall tax impact as we move forward?
Director Coyle.
Again, through the chair, we are going to retire those softwares as made available. The truth is they're not of very high value, so it's not going to be a wonderful offset. The vast majority of work was being done manually with and through Excel and other processes. So there will be a savings, but if I recall, the ballpark is around $40,000, and they will retire as time allows, as they come on board. But it really was a bit of a mash of very small softwares trying to accomplish a big task, and this is the first time we'll all be on the same page and have the tools that neighboring municipalities have had for some time.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
So with this technology then, and I know Director Reed's department, a lot of it was done by hand, putting in times and all that. Is that going to be all eliminated?
Director Coyle.
We will be automating as much as we can, possibly across all of them, but as the time is entered, there will be a batch process that sends it to VATM so it can be processed directly. We're also going to look at other potential integrations as they become available, our police service, et cetera. But this is a robust, modern piece of software. It has APIs, which is a fancy way of saying it has programs that allow us to talk to it in real time and set those synchronizations together. So yes, allow us to constantly evolve the process, mature it, and save money. So in that case, there will be a batch file that moves, and it will have the APIs necessary for us to capture everything once instead of repeatedly doing it. But again, now that we have the tool, we have to just go down the path of maturity to start that. And all business units will benefit from it.
Thank you.
Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Not so much about the system itself, but more about the funding source. Just a question to, I guess, the Director of Finance. When we talk about taking money out of the Water Reserve Fund and Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund, can we just take that money out for any reason?
Director Ferguson.
Through the chair to Councillor Henderson. No, we use them specifically for the purposes of the user rate funded areas. The original budget accommodated tax funded sources only. So once we evaluated and we had the user licenses costing that would be associated with each area, we do pay all the water staff, all the wastewater staff. So we were able to accommodate and identify the costs that would be attributable to those areas and make sure that we raise the funding so that they pay for their costs of those services within those envelopes.
Okay, just further to that. So I guess what I'm taking from that is as long as it has something to do with water or sewer, it could be used. Is that what I'm getting from that?
Through the chair to Councillor Henderson and all of council. Yes, when we can attribute costs as best as possible to the business units, they should be not all coming from tax dollars. There is payroll costs and costs of directly processing. It's on a per user basis for those individuals. So there is a direct cost linkage to water and wastewater. So they would pay for those costs accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving into consent items, I'll go to my left to see if anything needs to be pulled. Councillor Thompson?
No, thank you.
Councillor Carr?
8B2, please.
8B2. Councillor Enright Miller?
No, thank you.
Councillor Sue? No, thank you. Councillor Henderson?
No, thank you.
Mayor Ellis?
No, thank you.
Councillor Brown?
No, thank you.
And Councillor Kelly?
8B1, please.
8B1. Okay, so with the exception of 8B1 and 8B2, could I get a mover and a seconder to consider 8B3? Yeah, I guess just 8B3. Could I just, yeah, thank you. Mayor Ellis and Councillor Brown. Any questions or comments on 8B3? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. I think, yeah, so if I could have for the conflict of interest, Garnet and Barb, if you'd like to go. Thank you. That was pulled by Councillor Kelly. Could I get a seconder for that to be on the floor? Thank you, Councillor Henderson. And Councillor Kelly, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Through you, Chair. So this was the second round in the last couple of months that we've had arts and culture grant money. We had $60,000. 45,000 of the 60 was used. Maximum you can get is $5,000. I just want everybody to know as we do the little lead-in. I guess, and in our report that we get, it tells us what the particular organizations are asking for. So I'll use the Children's Safety Village. They asked for $5,000 to assist with the venue, equipment rental, supplies, and entertainment throughout the course of the year. So they got $5,000. I guess I wish there was a follow-up because some of these organizations didn't get what they asked, and I think there should be some explanation on why. So I'm going to use Quinte Immigration Services. They help, according to 2021 stats, almost 13,000 of our immigrant population. They really are a helping hand for new residents to our community, and they assist newcomers with facing challenges, whether it's cultural challenge, language challenge. They do some phenomenal work, and this is their 40th anniversary. They asked for 5, they got 4. The Enrichment Center asked for 5, they got 15. The only thing I'm asking is if there could be some follow-up from the committee on the justification on why, or why they received what they were allocated. And we had $15,000 to use out of this round of $60,000 that wasn't used. And final one I'll ask is, the Quinte Arts Council were given $5,000, but it says in a little note, pending permission to allow city to use produced video for promotional purposes. So is this something that they produced that we would like to showcase? I wish there was more details on that. I don't know who to direct that to. Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Councillor Kelly. Just being the chair of the grant committee, I can tell you that the matrix that they use to weigh the applications that come in, they do actually have a scoring system, and it is deliberated at the committee, on the committee floor. So we do actually that follow-up as a committee before it actually comes to council to be approved. That's part of the point of having the committee. But I will have Director Ferguson actually go into more detail, as it's the staff that credit the scoring system. So he may be able to give a little bit more information on how that is dispensed.
If I can,
Yep, sure,
Chair,
go ahead.
just through you, I just know from the last round of grant money, which was a month ago, I was personally contacted by many of the organizations asking where they fell short, and we didn't have that. But I'd like to just ask about this promotional video.
Sure, and that's another thing I just want to point out too, is that on the applications, just because they apply for a certain dollar amount, it doesn't mean necessarily that if we have the funding that they're going to get it. It's the strength of their application that determines whether or not they're able to get what they've asked for, and whether they can, again, the matrix that we use to be able to credit what makes sense for the application. Director Ferguson, did you want to speak to this, please?
Through the chair to Councillor Kelly, and I think Councillor Chatton did a great job there. We do have an evaluation criteria, an evaluation matrix, so we really are looking at the applications specifically. They could have no names on them, and we'll take the evaluation matrix, and we have a group of staff from different departments to provide some diversity in the evaluation process, and we'll look at strictly the grant applications themselves, go through the scoring, and get a blended weighted score average to go through and then look at the allocations that we've provided for similar scores to make sure that we provide some consistency and equity in how we distribute those funds through the Arts Committee. We will look at the applications as well, and we are able to deem or make some requirements. You'll see on the recommended approval, sometimes they will identify verification of certain needs, or if they're creating an arts installation with respect to City of Belleville related items, we may put some caveats that we would have access to those materials as well, so that if it's City of Belleville, we're able to benefit from that art installation that's being created.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I just wanted to know about this produced video too. Just an update on that.
That was what Director Ferguson was just indicating at the end there. It's just that there are some quid pro quos that we kind of put out to as a benefit to the city, specifically for the City of Belleville, that we can use some of that promotional material. Did you want to address that again?
So just like, I guess, for clarity, if the Quinte Arts Council lets us use the video that they produced, we will give them the $5,000.
Director Ferguson?
Through the chair to Councillor Kelly, that would be one of the stipulations that we would have put within the grant committee that's here for a recommendation by council, is that we would be able to have access to that production that we would contribute towards.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Carr?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Being involved in the grant committee for a number of terms now, I can say that it's evolved and evolved quite nicely in terms of the evaluation. And I look at it no different than our tendering process. Members of council and members of the committee don't get involved in scoring tendering. So for example, we tendered a number of engineering projects. We don't get into evaluating that. That's at the staff level. So it's arm's length from the political side, if you will. Grant committee is no different. So as the director pointed out, having that at arm's length is much better than the council members sitting and scoring a particular organization to make sure it fits a certain element. The matrix and how it's scored, or the matrix was developed with council approval, but it's staff to apply it. And so to me, I look at it no differently than a tendering process. As a member of council, I'm not going to get involved in evaluating a particular company. That's not my lane. Here, this way, staff provide that review, they score it, and then the recommendation comes to the committee. We'll ask some questions similar to, why a particular organization may have scored here or there. So we ask those questions at committee. Committee agendas and minutes are publicized, and people can attend those for sure. But again, it's about an arm's length process overall. And seeing it evolve to where it was, this is a much better place. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll just wait for Garnet and Barb to rejoin. Thank you both. So the 8B2, the recommendation reads that report number DF 2026-13, Development Charge Reserve Fund, Treasurer's Statement for the year ended December 31st, 2025, be received for information. That Councillor Carr moved and seconded by Councillor Sue. And Councillor Carr, did you want to speak to that? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Development charges are certainly popular, and we know that the residential building lobby is quite heavily pointed towards development charges, and their reduction as being the end-all and be-all to affordability. They also point quite a bit to the fact that municipalities have a development charge reserve, and in this instance, in 2025, we have a closing balance of $80 million. My first question through you to the Director of Finance is, I know that the building lobby group looks, or the residential building lobby looks to that $80 million. How much is the residential building sector contributing compared to other sectors, and what might those sectors be to make up that composition of the $80 million, approximately?
Director Ferguson, if you would, please.
Through the chair to Councillor Carr, I wouldn't have the exact percentage, but residential and non-residential splits all depend on the development activity that's taking place throughout the period. I can tell you in the last 5 years that may be potentially a higher split on non-residential. I know we've committed, and it was in the DC presentation that council on the non-residential side had accumulated about $49 million of city waivers had gone in there, and those would have been on the non-residential side of the coin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My second question is, in just looking at the year-end report, total committed funds is sitting at around 36 million, and of course with 80 million in the reserve. Could the director speak to the planned spending on that remaining balance? Because again, the residential housing lobby groups tend to point to that balance as sitting there in the bank and accruing interest, but there is an actual plan for the expenditure of that money beyond what's outlined as committed within the report. If the director could explain that, please.
Great question. Thank you. Director Ferguson, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the chair, Councillor Carr, and all of council. As part of the treasurer's statement, we are required to identify the utilization, and that we've identified at least 60% utilization, and council has done that. We've done that both through the commitments of existing capital projects that we have on the books for growth-related projects. One of them actually was just on the agenda, both the Avonlow and Northeast Industrial are some rather historic and large growth projects. We also have a 10-year capital plan that has 10 years worth of growth-related projects where we've identified a significant amount of DC utilization that would go to fund those projects. So that balance is actually puts us in a very favorable position to move some of these historic growth projects forward at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments on that one? Seeing none, all in favor, that is carried. Thank you. And for information items, I'll just go around to my right. Councillor Kelly, is there anything you'd like to pull?
No, thank you.
Councillor Brown?
No, thank you.
Mayor Ellis?
No, thank you.
Councillor Henderson?
No, thank you.
Councillor Sue?
No, thank you.
Councillor Enright Miller?
No, thank you.
Councillor Carr?
No, thank you.
Councillor Thompson?
No, thanks.
So accepting nothing from here, 8C1, 8A, 8C1B, and 8C2A. Could I get a mover and a seconder to put all three on the floor? Moved by Councillor Enright Miller and seconded by Councillor Henderson. Any questions, concerns? All in favor? That is carried. And 8C3, there are no items of interest, so rise and report. I need a motion and a seconder for rise and report. Moved by Councillor Sue, seconded by Councillor Carr, and all in favor. That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chatton. We move to bylaws. That bylaw number 2026-058, 085, and 086 be read and passed. Moved by Councillor Enright Miller, Councillor Thompson. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. New business. We'll start the left-hand side. Anybody? Right-hand side? Nobody. Okay. Motions. Notice of motions. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Your Worship. The copy of the notice of motion has been provided to the clerk because it is quite lengthy. Whereas the proposed Alto high-speed rail project may significantly affect municipalities, agricultural and farmland, residents, businesses, municipal infrastructure, emergency services, local economies, and the natural environment across Ontario and Quebec. And whereas municipalities require complete information and meaningful consultation before decisions are made that may affect our communities, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Belleville calls upon the Government of Canada and Alto to publicly release the project plan, the business case, costs, routes, impacts, alternatives, mitigation strategies, and a detailed municipal impact assessment, and to undertake meaningful consultation before any further advancement of the project. And further, that the City of Belleville opposes any project activity that would negatively impact our residents, businesses, agricultural operations, municipal infrastructure, emergency services, property access, or local decision-making, including expropriation, road closures, road dead-ending, grade separations, access restrictions, or infrastructure modifications. And further, that the City of Belleville opposes the downloading of project-related costs onto the municipal taxpayer and requests that all municipal costs associated with the project be borne by the project proponent. And further, that the City of Belleville shall not voluntarily provide access to city-owned lands, infrastructure, records, studies, data, or other municipal assets, nor enter into any voluntary agreements with Alto unless authorized by council. And further, that requests from Alto involving municipal property, information, studies, surveys, testing, access agreements, or cooperation be reported to council, and where council authorization is required, refer it to council for consideration. And further, that the City of Belleville reserves all rights to protect municipal interests throughout the planning, review, approval, construction, and operations of the Alto project. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, to the Honourable Steve McKinnon, Federal Minister of Transportation, the Honourable Heath MacDonald, Minister of Agriculture, to the, MP Shelby Cramp-Nyman, MP Chris Millett, to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, MPP Rick Brzee, MPP Tyler Alsop, to the Honourable Christine Frechette, Premier of Quebec, Martin Emblot, the President of Alto, the Association of the Municipalities of Ontario, the Fédération Québécoise de Municipalities, the Union de Municipalities du Québec, and the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, and all municipalities in Ontario.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Brown. Announcements. Councillor Thompson?
I got authorization from Councillor Kelly that I could make this announcement. We got a strawberry social tomorrow night at Eastminster United Church, and everybody's invited. A nominal cost of $10. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Seeing none, Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's fair to say we've all been engaged over the last couple of weeks with the FIFA World Cup, 48 nations. Canada's hosting along with the US and Mexico, and our team is doing very well. Third game is tomorrow. So knowing that we had a big council meeting coming up, I thought I would do a little local surveillance in soccer in Belleville. So Tom Moran is the president of the Belleville Youth Soccer. We have 1,900 kids involved from 4 to 18. Bay of Quinte Women's Soccer, the president is Jennifer Jordan, 600 plus players. Bay of Quinte Men's Soccer, Themi Magnus is the president, over 600 players involved. So we have over 2,000 people, almost 3,000 people playing soccer. I checked with Parks and Recreation. Our city has close to 20 different facilities for soccer. Thanks to the sponsors, the volunteers, the parents, for really making this a beautiful sport. And we get the kids out and the adults. In the Women's Soccer League, I was speaking to the president, Jennifer told me women in their 60s. And in the men's soccer, some are in their early 70s and still playing. So it's beautiful that this is happening every night in our city. And I looked it up. Some will remember these names. Dr. Tom Woodley was a pioneer, early pioneer in soccer in Belleville. And also Bruce Falls was very involved with youth sports. And I just wanted to mention, I know next Wednesday, Canada is 159 years young. We have a big party at Westwick's Park, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure with all my other colleagues. and hope to see a lot of the city folks come out. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? I just have one. I just want to congratulate first the weather on Friday night and the BBIA or DBIA event in downtown. Ran into a few counselors, a few bands, maybe a few beers, but not on me. But I was really pleased with the attendance. The music was great, the food was better, and the entertainment, and seeing a lot of people out there enjoying the downtown. There had to be absolutely hundreds and hundreds of people. And I guess the next big event down there will be Caribbean Fest, as Sean's putting his head, but there's lots of events downtown. So people take a look at the downtown calendar, and there's lots of events that you can participate and have a great time for free. Thank you. I need now, actually, proclamations. We have June as Recreation and Parks Month. Recreation and Parks Month. I think we have a Strawberry Social coming up in Recreation and Parks. Okay. I would like to proclaim June 25th as World Vitiligo Day, and I would like to proclaim July 6th as National Injury Prevention, and to show our support for the cause, the Belleville sign, Bridge Street East, and Fire Station 1 Memorial will be lit in green July 13th to 29. I now need a confirmation bylaw that bylaw 2026-087 be read and passed. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Wright Miller. Discussion, all in favor, carried. Motion to adjourn at 5:32. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Carr, all in favor, carried.